Okay. Okay. All right, got it. You all set, Heather?
You're on mute, Heather.
I am all set, yes.
Okay.
Here comes
Here we
Joanne, by the
go.
way.
We're going to start with approval of minutes from July. As you remember, we had no meeting in August to approve the July minutes.
Well,
I do
motion
have-
to approve.
I have one note on that one. It is, look under members attending, Heather. It's got my name and then it says D Barrett. It should be D Bennett.
Understood.
Okay.
I will motion with one minor name correction.
Who wants to second? All right, I'll second.
Oh, no, I'll second. It took me a minute to get the microphone on. You're the chair. You don't have to do those things.
Well, I have the notes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the minutes from July are, the motion is passed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Joe.
Gotcha.
Oh, good. It took me a while to find the email to figure out how to get on this Zoom meeting, sorry.
It's okay. We're almost done, but thanks for coming.
Almost done with the meeting? That'd be great.
Okay, we're up to reports. You have your treasurer report there, Joe?
Oh, so I got here just in time, it looks like. I haven't even looked at it. Looks like we have $17,997.32 left in our budget.
Yeah, we haven't done much lately with it.
Well, we did make some expenditures out of there. You should see the 50% deposit for the interp signs on the train wreck park, because that came out of EDC funds first, and then it'll come out of the grant funds second.
It looks like I didn't print that one out, so it's up to Joe. All right, well, we'll go on to businesses. Did everybody see what I sent? I think it was Monday.
Yep.
The updates and we'll especially need the nomination papers. But anyway, new businesses. We finally got Piccolo Pomodoro. They do have a sign up on the building, just saying that it's coming. The old Monte Bianco. We have Oracle Consultation, and we have the United Styles Dance Academy, which is a new owner for the old Dance Academy in the Thomas Mill. Anybody else have any other business? I haven't seen any business cancellations or anything.
I think Lafredo's he's got his hand up there. He's got his hands off the steering wheel, but that's all right.
Do we have to do anything with the Monte Bianco signs that are still around the North Grovenerdale area now that they're no longer there?
Yeah, that's a good point, Brian.
Those gentlemen, by the way, are going to be submitting signs to replace, a sign request to replace those Monte Bianco signs. They had filled out the form and they brought it in one day and then they had another question. So I would expect you'll see those soon. I think they just wanted to decide where they wanted them.
Okay, yeah, if they want them, if we leave them for now, they can just replace wherever Monte Bianco signs are.
I wish I had thought of that when they had come in that day. I could have just suggested that, but they were, I think they want 3 or 4. And they hadn't decided where, but yeah, that's too bad that I hadn't thought, but if they come in again, I'll mention that.
Okay. But yeah, that's a good thing to remember. We look at these signs for so long, they're just part of the landscape. Okay, we don't have any citizens, so we'll forego citizens' comments. For old business, there's probably no new updates. The only reason that's still there is in case somebody wants to recommend or bring forward an alternate or another alternate to fill the slot. So I don't have any. I don't know if anyone else does. Hearing none.
Nope.
And EDC meeting location. Yeah, things are still kind of up in the air. I was hoping we'd be all inside. So we're still playing it month to month. On to new business. The big one this month is going to be the business of the year. And so I sent all the papers, everything that I had. We had two people nominated Anya. We had one for Thompson Speedway, one for System Solutions, and one for Trudeau Electric.
And Pump Connection too, right?
Oh, yeah. Did I not print that one out?
It was in the, it was in your attachments.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yep, it was in there.
Yeah, shucks, it looks like I forgot. That's the one that I wrote up and sent it out and I forgot to print it. Yeah, as long as you have it.
Since I kind of submitted 3 of those 6, I'm not sure that I will have much. I'll probably just abstain. I just wanted to give you choices because at that point you only said you had 1 submission, so I gave you the 3 that I thought could be considered, just to give us some choices.
Yeah, you don't have to abstain.
Yeah, there's no reason to abstain there, Lafredo. I mean, just when you vote, you're going to vote for one. You must have a favorite even among your, or the discussion could lead you to one over the other, I guess is the.
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
and to remind you, we've already given awards to Fort Hill Farms in 2013. Thompson Speedway was 2014. And then we skipped a few years and we ended up with Milltown Grill and Thompson Auto Care. So keep that in mind where we have another nomination for Thompson Speedway. Not saying they can't win, I'm saying keep it in mind. All right, looking at them alphabetically. Yeah?
I was going to say, as a non-voting member, I'm going to put my 2 cents in for Pump Connection.
Okay.
Based on this rationale. And did you say it was you who wrote that one up, Yasino?
Yes.
Yeah. So all of those things that you observe are correct. You know, the work that they've done to rehab that mill. I mean, it's on the market now, but they certainly made it great inside. Their continued involvement in town affairs, even though, you know, Charlene has mostly stepped away, they still for a number of years have been super, super active. Also, they're moving. They won't have that opportunity again in future years to be considered. I mean, maybe next year they will, but eventually they're leaving the community. So I would say that would be a nice send-off.
Yeah, the reason I put that one in since we started there is, yeah, Pump Connection is a longstanding business. Like I mentioned on the paper, Frank is contributes to boards. Charlene is in a lot of them, including current president of TBA, which she will be stepping down. And it was a big deal that we got recognized by CERT for that award and receives it it was because of the work in the mill, saving the Thomas Mill in town. So I thought that was a good one. Anybody else want to contribute to that, the pump connection discussion? Before we move on to the next one.
I mean, I'll just say that I second all of that. I think they've done a wonderful job in town, obviously very committed. I don't know what else to add. I just would agree with all of that. That's for sure. And should be considered. That's a good nomination, Bri. That was a good one.
I would agree with that also.
From
Okay.
from a turkey trot standpoint, they've contributed the last, since I've taken over, and like Mr. Santos, they doubled their contribution this year from the Pump Connection. So, yeah, I hadn't even considered nominating them. They've certainly been a contractor that's worked on my house, and they are involved. Again, both of them as a husband and wife team have wanted to do a lot for the town and really did a lot with rehabbing that building.
They also spearhead the Thanksgiving Day meals,
Yep.
which originally they used to be cooked right at our father's table. And we would go there and get everything ready and cut everything up. And so that was another big contribution to the town. They're certainly not selfish.
Well, you guys are definitely pouring it on thick with this one.
Well,
And rightfully so, though. And rightfully so, right? So.
Well, yeah, and I didn't know the Speedway had previously won, or yeah. So I mean, well, did Pump Connection previously win?
No,
No, okay.
Yeah.
no, but that's why I wanted to bring it up for your consideration, just to know Thompson Speedway won, and it could sway, your thoughts, saying, oh, they already won in 2014.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to be fair to them too, as the big sponsor. Well, in 2019 of the Turkey Trot, that was a big deal, and I didn't want to not consider them because they didn't sponsor me this year, because I know they are giving of their facilities to other fundraisers, to Day Kimball, to Harrington Healthcare. I don't know how many are
Yes.
in town. They're certainly giving it to neighboring towns. So.
Now, you were right about that. So there was nothing wrong with nominating them, Bri.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also made a note that Jonathan's on the building committee.
Is he
Currently
still on
on
the
the
building
building.
committee, Santos?
Let's just say that he is a member, but has not been at a meeting in a very long time.
I looked at the website, so that's all I know.
Yeah. I mean, he contributes when he can. What are you gonna say? So.
Okay. And that's good to know. Yeah, I went through with all of these, I went through and looked for their names on different committees and commissions. So I could add to the nominations, give us something to discuss. All right, we have Anya, two Brian Lafredo and Brian Santos both nominated Anya. And of course, the most visible thing is the Mason House, which people in town do appreciate. Plus, it is a nice business. I know Brian Santos, you go there more often than most of us. I've only been there for the open house.
I mean, I was there, and I think I partake in the let's say the cocktails there, and I don't remember going there, but it's a nice place. But anyway, in all seriousness, obviously they're making a huge financial commitment to the town of Thompson. They took the Mason House, which in my opinion should have just been demolished, and dumped a lot of money into that place. And I'm going to bring it up under comments by commission members, but I think they're a player that we should be inviting to these meetings, or maybe to the TBA, and just having discussions with them about what their plans are, what their thoughts are of the town, what their ideas are. I just think that there's someone that would definitely come to the table and have a nice conversation with. So, but
You have inroads there with Ken Loisel Brian, because I certainly do, he's been to my office once, but
Yeah.
I don't have like
I do not.
direct connection to him.
Nope.
So he's the owner?
Yeah,
And
no,
Loisel
yeah, he
is.
is. Yep.
How do you
Loisel.
spell his last name?
Loisel, I've got his phone number if anybody wants it.
You can email that to me, Joanne. That'd be great.
Yeah,
I've
let's,
worked with him, I've worked with him a lot a few years ago, a lot.
let's talk about under new comments, but I agree with reaching out to Ken. That's something that we should be doing.
Can you spell his last name?
Loiselle, which I
like
believe
to-
means the little birds in French.
When I was looking to fill out these, all I could find online was a general manager, Evan Jones.
Is that the, you're saying Ken is the owner of Anya?
Yeah,
Can you spell his name again for me?
Loiselle.
Thank you.
now the general manager there is a woman. I think that's his daughter, right? I can't remember.
I don't know, it just said Evan Jones.
His daughter
Hello?
was,
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you now, Joanne.
Go
You're a little
for it,
faint
Joanne.
before.
Well, I was speaking and nobody was paying attention to me, so I'm
Oh,
thinking maybe
God.
my phone is not working.
Tell us
Oh, I
to
didn't
shut up,
know that.
Joanne. There you go. You have the floor. Take the floor, Joanne.
Thank you. I know Ken Lozea very well. I have his email address, his phone number. He's the money behind Anya. He's not he could be the owner, maybe not, but his general manager is not his daughter. Her last name is Kelly, I believe. Maybe you know her, Brian. I mean, the head person, the one in charge, is she was from Thompson, and she had a business in Pomfret, and so that's why she's running the show over at Anya. So
Yeah, that's why I'm
she's
bringing
probably-
her up, because I feel like someone is making these managerial decisions, and obviously Ken is playing some sort of role in that, but whoever's making those decisions and planning the attack, that's who we want to be speaking with.
Then that would be the owner, the general manager,
Yeah,
not Ken.
That's what I
Ken,
thought.
Ken would not be interested in being involved. I don't think.
I'm not even sure
at
if Ken lives around here.
He lives in Pomfret, and I know exactly where he lives. Pomfret, yeah.
Okay.
He's a local guy, but I don't think he would be interested in coming to our meeting.
That was
But
my
his
general sense
manager-
as well. Okay,
We can
But-
reach out to her.
but Brian Santos and Joanne now brings up an interesting point. The time of the meeting might not be attractive to some of the business owners, but there's a lot of good information and some important questions that are not coming into the mainstream here in this town. And if we either do it with a committee or by officially inviting some of the either more successful or more inspirational business people in the town to help us, to help them to get it better.
yeah, sure. So what I was going to bring up in the commissioner's comments here, and I think we're kind of getting derailed here, but is exactly that, Charlie. I think there's some sort of notification that goes out to whomever we want to send this notification to, and let's just stick with the Anya team for talking purposes, and just tell them, hey, we're having brainstorming sessions, and kind of outline some basic questions to them. And so they come prepared to the next meeting, knowing what our intent is and the questions that we're going to be posing, instead of just hitting them blindside and say, hey, come to our meeting, and they have no idea why they're coming, right? So I feel like there's some sort of preparatory communication that goes out to a select few businesses. That's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And the point about you don't want to invite them and then throw the agenda at them. Let's
Exactly.
invite them to help us to make the agenda.
Absolutely. All right. So just to go back to this, I think Anya's definitely making right moves. I kind of said, in a brief couple sentences why I wanted to vote for them, but I totally agree with that. At least right now, there's a couple other people we can talk about that. Frank and Charlene should be awarded the award for, in my opinion. Anya's not going anywhere, so we can reevaluate them again next year.
I was
No,
also
in
kind
fact,
of thinking, B, that wouldn't it be nice to make that award to them actually when the Mason House is done?
aha,
Like an achieve, you know,
That's a good
a
idea.
recognition at the conclusion of an achievement.
Now, when the hell is that gonna be done? I thought it was,
Well-
I'm ready for my massage.
That's sort of the problem. It may never be done at the rate they keep dumping money into it. It's
know
like
it.
a new thing every week, but
My wife is
eventually I
ready.
imagine it will be.
Tara, my wife is ready to move into the Mason house. She wants out over here, so, and I'm ready to let her go do that, just to see it.
uh-oh.
Plenty of space over there.
And an interesting underline on that is that an application came into inland wetlands last night. They want to build additionally at Anya's, a kind of a pavilion that maybe could serve as a chapel, but it would also be for, for dining functions, for functions.
Yeah,
Additional.
that came up in P and Z, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, they're thinking about doing the weddings at the Mason house, but now they've elected to take advantage of the property over by the restaurant, which obviously is very.
Brian made mention of that. Brian Santos, when he said they have plans for further expansion. So I
Yeah,
wrote that on the paper too, Brian.
yeah.
Do you guys have that general manager's name or two?
Yeah, I can find it, her first name. Hold on one second there.
Well, like I said on the website, it said it was Evan Jones.
Oh, okay. I mean, I could look that up too. I just didn't
But
know.
that's, apparently that's not right.
No. Jones is the last name. That's correct.
Oh, it said Evan Jones.
Evan might be the son of the woman, of the owner. I bet.
Okay.
I'm
But that was
guessing
the GM and it was a guy.
Yeah, okay. But believe me, it was his mom who did all that.
Well, family businesses are complicated.
It's for
Yeah.
sure.
All right, you want to go, we have Thompson Speedway, Brian LaFredo talked about. System Solutions. This one was put in by Celeste, Chris Nelson's wife. There's a lot of words there. Did everybody read this one?
I briefly read it. I mean, again, Chris has been a longstanding, contributing Thompson resident. I don't know much about his business, but he does come to various functions and committees for a very long time. So,
Yeah, and right now he's active with the has been active with the TBA all along. And the golf tournament that's coming up. He has a new office in the Thomas Mill. So he's staying in town. So, I thought that was a valid nomination too.
Well, presumably they're all valid. It's just you've got to choose one in the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, some you might, none of these, but I could see getting somewhere. There's no information. It's just a name, because they're my neighbor. And I wouldn't consider those valid. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So, I mean, everything that we got here, the final one was Trudeau Electric. Brian said.
Yeah, that really isn't probably a contender like some of the others. I
Yeah.
know he was involved with the Mason House and he did a great job for me, but it was just the first name I thought of, so I don't consider him a serious candidate, especially since he couldn't tell me how he was contributing to the town as far as any sponsorships or contributions. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time worrying about that nomination. If anything, this discussion made me think of one I don't know that much about, but I know he's getting involved with the turkey trot and with the talk of Anya in the Mason House. Sometimes we don't remember Andrew at Lord Thompson Manor. I don't know if he's ever been nominated.
I was thinking of him too, as you guys were talking about the wedding stuff. Between the two of them, Ken and Andrew, I think they're hatching plots to turn all of Thompson Hill into a giant wedding village, which is not a bad thing, by the way.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing either.
But
Um,
they're also not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still for Frank and Charlene.
Now, I have a question. Would you like to nominate both businesses? That would be all inclusive. Pump Connection / Our Father's Table.
Seems
That's just a
strange to
fact.
award Business of the Year to a business that's out of business, but you could possibly, I mean, what's the LLC that they had the mill under?
I don't know. I can check into that, but I don't know. Yeah, and I mean, originally I thought Pump Connection. It's just that as we talked, the two of them are involved in so many things. If her name isn't on Pump Connection, I just thought that would be a way to include everybody, but I'm okay
Yeah,
just going with Pump Connection.
Yeah, I think Pump Connection is more recognized. I think people would be like, oh, I know that, that's Frank or whatever,
And I don't think it's inappropriate to include Charlene in that, even if, Frank is quote unquote the business owner. I mean, first of all, couples own things in common. And second of all, I believe she did in fact work for Frank before she, took over more of the mill itself.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, so now, Heather, what we need in the minutes, I don't want the winner put in the minutes.
Understood.
Because this is a surprise, so we never put the winner in the minutes.
Oh, you know what then? You should also not do it as a voice vote because you're being recorded. So each of you send me an email with your choice, right? I don't see how else we can do it if you want to keep it confidential, because
Well, yeah, but with Zoom, can't we raise a hand?
you can.
Isn't that under reactions or something? We can raise a hand?
It is, but I think it shows on the video recording.
I think she's right. They show the whole screen, all the members, all the people that are on. What I'm seeing now, it's 9 people on here.
I mean, it definitely shows to us, but I think the screen that gets captured in that video recording, which is what I post on YouTube,
Well, you know what? It
would
doesn't
show
matter.
those.
I'll
It
tell you
doesn't
what we could do that would probably,
It doesn't, Charlie, it doesn't matter. We're already being recorded and we already talked about a winner.
yeah, okay, then
Well,
there's
It
that.
doesn't matter if we show hands or not.
I
Okay,
suppose.
But-
Well, that's
but
assuming
put it in-
that's assuming that the vote goes according to the conversation.
Yeah, I could number,
transparency.
well, yeah, but there is we do the unveiling on October 2nd, so.
For whatever it's worth, guys, I don't think a lot of people view the recordings of these meetings.
No, I don't think so either. I think we'll be safe.
And I don't think any of them would open up the chat box. So if we were to put our vote in on a chat thing, then it would be there, but it wouldn't be obvious. I don't care one way or the other. I mean, yeah, it's not like the winning Powerball number.
Well,
If
they might
you
think
knew
it is,
that
Charlie.
and didn't tell me, then I'd be upset.
Yeah,
I think we have a lot more attendees to this meeting after that.
yeah, because I already have the plaque on standby. So they're just waiting, it's all done. They're just waiting for me to give a name. So I'll have that in time. And sometimes we notify the nominees and try to get them to go to Community Day. I remember with Milltown Grill, I think I just went to Frank's daughter and told her to make sure he got there. I don't remember going to the other nominees, and maybe we didn't have any. I don't remember now. Do you have any thoughts on that? Should we contact the nominees?
Well, it would be nice to have them show up.
Is Frank and Charlene going to be around for Community Day? I know she just said last night, I'll see you in November or something when I left the meeting with her last night.
They are going back and forth a lot. But
Yeah.
she has her one kid either has moved or is in process of moving. But the other kid, I think, is still around. Maybe she could accept on their behalf if they're not in town at that time.
Yeah, and she may be expected to miss the TBA meeting and not Community Day, so I can always check. Because, yeah, the one kid has not moved yet. It is in the process. I was kind of feeling that out too. I was kind of checking with Charlene to see how long Frank was in business, and just from a TBA standpoint, I didn't want to give it away. So I'd have information for the nomination sheet.
They've also been avoiding any public appearances since COVID.
Well, not really. I mean, we still have TBA meetings.
I think it depends on the appearances in question, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know that Charlene is very much averse to the mask situation.
Yeah.
And probably won't go places where you have to wear a mask.
Well, Community Day does have the benefit of being outdoors.
Yeah. All right, well.
To
if
be
we're all in
clear,
agreement,
To be
And we
clear,
don't
the nominee isn't Our Father's Table or Pump Connection. It's the umbrella group that fostered both of them.
Well, we decided it would be Pump Connection.
Okay.
And we can still name, like Tira said, the wife's contributions can still count. Because I make up a little speech and I can say, in addition, they have been involved in this, and I can make a nice little presentation out of it.
You do a good job at that, I have confidence that you would come up with something quite graceful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not worried yet. We'll have something good. So yeah, as long as everybody's in agreement, we'll go on from there. I'll try to notify the other nominees, see if they'll come to the Community Day.
For whatever it's worth, if you were interested in the umbrella, it is 1020 Riverside Drive LLC, but I'm not suggesting you should do that instead of Pump Connection. I agree that that's the more recognizable of the names.
Yeah. Yeah, where they're from town, he's been in business. It's, I think she said 31 years. So, okay. On to progress reports. We have Sullivan and Lashane up first.
So I forgot to mention to Renee tonight that it would be a good one to come in. We do have essentially the final draft back from Sullivan and Lashane. Did I send it to you guys or no?
I did not see that.
Okay, so I will send it to you guys tomorrow, and if you want to, discuss it in the next meeting, it's fine. It is essentially what we saw before, incorporating the edits that we made in the last meeting, which I think was a branding meeting. Yeah, it has to have been a branding meeting because we skipped the August EDC for the public engagement thing. And it looks good. So the next action item is for Renee to take that to Civic Plus and have them implement it on the website to the best of their ability. And then Sullivan and Lashane will remain available to troubleshoot with Civic Plus wherever they run into any kind of conflict. So what that does, just as a reminder, is it gives us the framework to then flesh out so that those landing pages for the QR codes on the Z maps and the other places where we're, directing people to find their way to us is going to be something that's a little more user-friendly. But, then the burden does rest with us to keep that dynamic and interesting. So, it's not like it's not a one and done kind of, oh, here it is, now it's fixed forever. It's got to be constantly kept fresh, like any other web page, or else it'll lose its value. But I think it'll look better. I think it'll have friendlier language for visitors, and the rest of it, like I said, is what we populate it with.
Okay, next is website notes. And again, I leave that up there in case we see something that needs fixing or changing.
Do we already have a actual date for when Civic Plus is going to update things?
I cannot answer that question, because Renee deals with them. I suspect not, because we only just got that back from Sullivan and Lashane within the last week.
All right.
And Renee was on vacation last week to boot. So without saying 100%, I would be surprised if she had a firm timeline back from Civic Plus yet.
Okay. The software that it was written with, Drupal, I think it was Drupal 7, and they're rolling out Drupal 9 now. So we want to make sure that we let them know.
I feel fairly confident that a company that does web page maintenance is going to have the most updated version of whatever it is they need to work on.
One would
Now,
hope
that would be
so.
something that we could dictate.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, Tira, I'm sorry, I was doing something else when you were talking. As soon as you send out that Sullivan and the Shane thing, I'm very interested in that. So I'll take a look at that and comment back.
I've got my email open, so let me just zoom back and find it, and I'll just send it to everybody now, which is, you won't have had time to look at it to discuss, but
Yep, that's okay.
I've got it here somewhere. Keep talking amongst yourselves. I'll catch up to you.
Well,
For the company that updates the website,
I think you're looking at them. You're looking at the group that updates the website. I mean, other than the formatting and everything, I think the content itself is done by town representatives.
no, but
Yeah.
I mean, we just mentioned the name of the company that's gonna implement what Sullivan and Lashane did.
Oh, Civic Plus.
Civic Plus, that's what it.
Yeah, that's our hosting
And
service.
our original
platform,
deal with them, our original deal was they'd roll it out, and then in 3 years, they'd update it completely, all the widgets behind it. But what Brian Santos just said is we're the ones that decide what we want it to say.
Content, right.
And that's what Sullivan and Lashane helped us do.
You know what, guys, I'm gonna have to forward this to you tomorrow, because on this laptop, my contacts aren't
Yeah,
saved in Outlook, so
totally
I'll
fine.
have to do it. I'll have to do it tomorrow.
Totally fine.
yep. All right, anything else for that? For now, we should be set. Yeah, and the website notes, I don't have any more stuff to report. It was just, I was looking, one of the commissions doesn't list the members, and I forgot which one it was. Planning and zoning, or
Not P and Z, because I maintain that one.
it was one of them. I had to dig deeper to look at minutes to see who was present. But I'll get that. Just to mention it, and maybe they could, update it, whichever commission that is. Anybody seen anything else on the website that should be corrected or? Okay,
I think Tara's right. It's already in the works now.
Well, no, but I'm looking at, mistakes like we didn't change and we didn't add Dan Bennett as an alternate or.
Okay, on the bottom of the
everyday
home
things that we
page,
might run across.
I remember us having some discussion early in our, when we were looking at planning. And one of the things we said is that the 10 village names tended to pull the town in different directions. But on the bottom of the home page, it says that the town hall is in North Grosvenordale. Oh, excuse me, I can't say the S, North Grosvenordale.
Yeah, so as it turns out, we kind of have to leave it that way because there is occasional difficulty receiving mail in the village of North Grosvenordale when one puts Thompson. So to make sure that we receive mail, we really have to list the address that way.
Yeah, that just frosts me because, like I said, you look at Worcester with all of its dales and all you do is you put Worcester in the zip code and it gets there. 06255 should get to the town hall.
Yeah, this is mind-boggling to me as well, because all you should need to put is the zip code. You shouldn't even
Yeah.
have to put any name there,
You're right.
except the recipient and the street address and a zip code. That should take your letter anywhere, no matter whether you get the town or the village wrong or not.
Yes.
It just happens not to be the case here.
Yeah, it makes no, I've been fighting this one for 10 years.
That's all the post office people. We need to talk to them.
Yeah, there's no reason it shouldn't go where it belongs. And the
Right.
reason that from an EDC standpoint, we want to make it easier for businesses. And instead of saying I'm in Fabian, I'm in Quinnebog, they can say I'm in Thompson. It's easier to spell.
Well,
I
you
can't tell you how many times I had to spell North Grosvenordale.
Problem with the post office.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I know that it has been mentioned by multiple parties on multiple occasions and to no result. So, there's some fights that you can spend your time on and there's some fights that perhaps you can let go. But yes, you're absolutely right, Yacino. All I should have to put is 06255. And if I wrote Timbuktu, Connecticut, it should still come to town hall, if that's but whatever.
it'll come to North Grosvenor DLE. When you do 06255, it doesn't spell out Dale, it's DL rather,
Yeah, well,
North Grosvenor do,
there you go.
because there's too many
Better.
letters.
Even better.
All right, 11th Village update is next up on the list.
Okay, so the only update I have is a theoretical one. As we know, our dear friend who built the first couple has not been able to go back, and that is understandably because of his massive commitments on a huge project that I'm sure is lining his pockets quite nicely. None of that is to be held against him. However, it is inconvenient for us and causes me a certain amount of mental agita. So I did talk to Orla before she had to go back to Ireland because of the passing of her mother. And I said, look, we've got those funds encumbered over to Orchard Products or Dave Eddy or however we have it done. Is it possible to sort of re-encumber those to the public schools so that I can get Mike Joyce and his shop kids working on it? Because Mike really wants to be a part of that. So Orla suggested that would be possible. The other piece of that is something that I've sort of danced around for a couple of meetings. Of course, part of the reason they're not utilized is because they're not finished and because there's not enough of them. But even beyond that, if we're having trouble getting traction from actual quote unquote grown-up micro entrepreneurs and retailers, perhaps the avenue is through a combination of the Teague clientele and the high school, which does in fact have some kind of business stream for some students. There are precedents for this kind of, for that kind of thing in other areas. Totally coincidentally, that Air Institute thing that I had forwarded around a little while ago, one of the projects they talked about was like a sort of a seasonal pop-up that they did for a few weekends or maybe even a whole season with high school students someplace down south, right? So if we take the time now to have the shop class finish the ones that we've got and do however much they can get with the funds we've got encumbered to the project for the next few. I did have a chance to meet the new high school principal. He loved the idea off the bat. So I want to circle back to him and to Melinda and to Anne and see if I can set something up to discuss, developing a program that's really airtight while we're finishing constructing the sheds so that, we can just go in a new direction here. And then if that also encourages quote unquote grown-up artisans or growers or resellers or whatever to look at it later, then that's all to the good. There is an avenue here somewhere. I'm sure we're all disappointed that it didn't take off from go the way we all envisioned it would, but two incomplete sheds does not a project make. So that's that. I mean, I'll keep working on it. It's not going to be front burner for a little bit, but I will keep pressing at it as I get the opportunity.
That's great.
Okay. Next up is the train wreck park update.
As you know, we have or as I believe we have the dedication, unveiling, whatever you want to call it, event on October 3rd. That's the day after Community Day. It is in the Walktober calendar. I may have in one of these meetings said that the start time was noon. I'm glad that I saw the Walktober calendar because what we put it in as was 1 to 2:30. The singer-songwriter who won the songwriting contest is committed via email to doing the date, although he hasn't returned his artist agreement yet. The signs are going to be in place. They're on schedule as of my last communication with Graphics Unlimited. We've received 80% of the grant funds. The last 20% get released when I close the grant. Talked very briefly to Ian Martino and John Rice and Paul Provost about having somebody available on the day to do a very abbreviated guided tour using the new signs. Joe Perotti Brown is going to do Spanish translation of the text for the signs because we had some extra money in the grant because the Historic Society decided to reproduce the depot sign using their own funds. So that's going to allow us to, reach a more diverse audience. And that's really that. So mark your calendars, be there. Rain date is the 10th, 1 week later. I don't know, what kind of questions can I answer for people?
What did you say the time was?
1 to 2:30.
Because didn't I read that it was 12 to 2?
That's what I was saying. Either in an email or a meeting, I may have said 12 to 2.
Okay.
And then fortunately, before I sent out any formal press releases, I saw the Walktober guide and realized that we had decided on 1 to 2:30 because somebody said noon was tough for churchgoers or something, or lunch after church or something along those lines. So we pushed it back.
Okay.
So fortunately, I don't have to go correct a whole bunch of stuff. I think I only got that wrong in our internal discussions.
All right, but it shows that I read it, whatever it was.
Hooray.
That was the 10th of October, right?
The 10th is
This
the
is
rain
the
date.
3rd.
It's the 3rd of October. It's the same weekend as Community Day.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I have a note. One of our recent meetings, we talked about one of the recent meetings that I was at, and some of you may have been there, I'm pretty sure you were, we talked about the congestion issue in that area on East Thompson Road at the S turn, whenever a large group of people might be there. And when the Rymacon relay ran through, arrangements had been made for parking away from the corner so that it was, even with the off-site parking, which normally won't be there, it was very crowded. John Kerchinkus and I looked at the area and came up with some thoughts. And Brian Lafrido has made contact with Nick Donahue, who has a landscaping company and who expressed that he would like to work, doing some community work. By coincidence, after that meeting, I said that I would reach out to Nick, and I sent an email. And the next day, he was at the transfer station throwing something off the back of the truck, saw the name, introduced myself. We went up and looked at it at his suggestion. So after we looked at it, he said, look, there's some guys that he knows that are also in Thompson. They're not registered with the TBA. All their work is word of mouth, and they have big machines that can come in and pick up like 10 trees and feed them into a chipper and turn them into mulch for the side of the trail. I hadn't been thinking in those terms, but John Kerchinkus, Paul Provost, and I met with a guy from that company, and I've got their name, but I can't put my fingers on the card right now. He said, okay, you got volunteers? If your volunteers want to cut down trees and put them so that the butt ends are together and they're clean and they're all facing towards the trail, we could go through and do a lot of preliminary work. And then when they come in with their big machines, whoosh, they go right through. But they can't get to it till November anyway. So we need to work out more details about the areas where they will be able to work. We saw 3 different spots that we would like to have preliminary work done. And the idea about hiring a town-based business who are equipped and insured and ready to go in and do the work that the volunteers cannot do is attractive to me. I'm still willing to go up there. We may be able to do some work so it looks like we're making progress if any big shots show up for the ribbon cutting.
John Rice and I think Paul Provost, or maybe it was John Kachinskas. I thought it was Paul. Apparently we're out there either today or yesterday dropping some trash trees.
Yeah, they're getting ready to bring in the stone from the turntable from Putnam. The Historical Society has purchased it. They've worked out an easement agreement for that specific site at least, and the door is open to look at other easement agreements with Vern and Julie in the future. But that doesn't need to go into too much more discussion tonight. I just think it would make it could make a good impression if we got work that we can point to and say, yeah, our volunteers have done this, so that when the professionals come in, it goes quicker. And it shows that we're trying to get a lot done with limited resources. We recognize that, and we're working towards it, not just moaning, oh, woe is me. So John and Paul were going to actually measure out someplace and get back to me, or maybe they got right back to Jacob, the guy from the tree company. But I don't have any numbers until our next Trails Committee meeting anyway. It's just, I wanted to share it because it's an idea, it's a direction that I hadn't thought of. I thought we'd do as much as we could with volunteers and then let DPW finish. But if we can make the area safer and help to further the plans, think about it.
Yep. Yeah,
We've
looking
got
forward
that,
to
we've
the
got that
third.
Zoom call coming up on Tuesday, Charlie, to essentially reallocate tasks now that we've gone from the theoretical to the actual, or at least we're on the borderline of going from the theoretical to the actual.
Yeah,
So some of that stuff's gonna get hammered out in that meeting.
and, you know, I appreciate your concerns that I not sign any agreements until everybody's on board with it. And I have no intention of committing the town or.
Part of the reason that's important, just so you know, is because remember that the money that was committed out of the ARPA for the train wreck park project, that's meant to be leveraged into grant. And you can't leverage money that you've already spent. It
Okay.
has to be in the bank.
Okay,
So just keep that in mind, that's all.
okay. Well, like I said, he told me November would be the earliest, and that was a week ago, and we still haven't called them back to get a more close estimate. We'll have to
I'm
before,
submitting that grant. The deadline on that grant is November 1st,
okay,
which means they won't be reading any until after that. And according to Lori Giannotti, her expectation is that awards will be made in January 22.
Okay.
So we've got to sit on those funds until we know one way or the other.
okay.
Kira, how much was the ARPA figure?
His,
It was 155 and change.
Okay, that's what I wrote down. I just didn't know if I had it right.
Kira, was that 10 to 12 for the train wreck dedication?
1 to
what time-
2:30.
It's 1 to 2:30.
Got it. Got it. 1 to
wind up your
2:30.
clock.
Got it.
I'll meet you there at 10, Brian. We'll get coffee.
Don't
I
confuse
love-
him.
I love breakfast, so that's okay with me.
All right, we all set for train wreck park?
I think so.
See everybody on the 3rd. The last item is the NIPS program update and the sculptures.
As I believe you all know, we were successful in raising both the financial and number of donor threshold. That means we earned the full match from Sustainable CT of $4,500. We will have that in our account by now. I think we received it last week. What is currently happening is Sarah Furbush and Mike Joyce and I are working out the creation of the first sculpture that involves some sketching. Mike and the kids up at the shop class are going to build an armature out of rebar and chicken wire or masonry wire. I have to order, the appropriate concrete, and if we have to figure out some of the structural details. Importantly, I need volunteers to help wash and scrape the labels off nips. And the next time I'm going to be doing this is going to be Saturday at my house, probably from 1 to 5. I can tell you the first time we did this, it took 5 adult humans 4 hours to go through one bag. It's gross. It's annoying, but they are only useful to us if they are clean and free of labels. So anybody who's willing to do that, please come to my house on Saturday. You can confirm with me via email so I know whether to expect you. I will provide pizza and beer. I have some buckets, but if you have like 5-gallon buckets, I probably don't have enough if more than 1 or 2 people show up. Bring your own gloves.
Lots of
bring
goo
your own
gone.
scraper. Huh?
What time?
I was thinking of that, Brian.
I didn't hear it. What?
You should just dump a get a big thing of Goo Gone, dump the bottles in that and let that soak in there for a minute, and then
It
it'll.
would have to be a very large container of Goo Gone. And what I am doing is I'm bleach rinsing them in diluted bleach. Because, I mean, they're disgusting.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that they are.
They're absolutely revolting. So, I mean, you know, once you get a groove, it actually goes pretty well. And it is sort of satisfying to see a giant bag full of crystal clear bottles. But anyway, so Sarah Ferber's going to take those. We're going to fill them with colored grout, and that's the.
Yeah,
Can
Tim,
you repeat the time again? Hello?
What'd you say, Joe?
Thank you. Can you repeat the time again?
Starting at 1 o'clock at my house, and we went about 4 hours last time, so that's probably realistic. After that, it's just too tiring.
I think she meant the Trainwreck Park dedication.
I'm just saying, if I can make it, I will, but I needed to know what time frame. Thank you.
Yeah, 1 to 5-ish at least 1 o'clock start time at my house on Saturday.
I'm gonna offer something else. I cannot do it Saturday, but I would be happy to take a bag and bring them back to my house and do them there.
That would be okay too. It's really gross. I'm just telling you, it's really, really, really.
I have
really
no doubt. I'll put my 11-year-old daughter right on it.
I'm sure she'll be thrilled.
She'll be,
Please, by all means, get a photo op picture of your child handling discarded liquor bottles.
wonderful. It sounds like
Sure.
a total PC move for my political campaign.
Right. Well, so the other piece of this is, and Charlie can confirm, Daniel Blanchette did a quick survey so that we could try to get a wetlands permit to do the installation. And that went up in front of inland wetlands last night. Unfortunately, neither Daniel or I could attend. So the IWC didn't really feel like they had enough information to affirmatively vote to permit the actual installation of the first one. That's okay. I actually think that we probably are not going to have it physically completed for Community Day anyway, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to trailer it down there. And Sarah and I are going to work on it on site, doing the concrete molding and you know, inserting of the nips into the chicken wire. So it'll be in progress. I think that's just fine. It'll show the project. It's kind of an interesting thing for people to watch. I'll get disgusting, covered in concrete. Maybe I'll just be a living statue in Riverside Park for the rest of my life.
There you go.
So there is that. But thank you to all of you who did contribute. All told, between the money we had left over from the NIPS for Holiday Cheer program, you know, the private donations that were in excess, the seed money that, did we actually put any seed? I can't even remember if we actually voted to put additional seed money or not towards that, or if we just had the extra funds. I think we did. But regardless, the private donations from the crowd fund and Sustainable CT, we've got over $10,000 to play with on this. We had 8, I think it was 8 by the end, contributors of $300 or more, which means each of those contributors gets a fish named after them, which is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing a Lafredo fish. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be cool, and it'll be charismatic, and they'll be in the park.
The Lafredo fish will be a stingray?
That would be funny, but since stingrays do not live in the French River, it would be.
Yeah,
it would be
okay.
off mission.
Yeah, I was hoping for that, but man.
As Chair said, there was approval given, put one in and see what they look like. There was too much ambiguity and I couldn't explain it. But the concern was, well, what if there is a flood? Will trees get hung up against it, or will it rip the fish away? We don't know. We don't know. None of us knows. But
Yeah, that's fine. Daniel was gonna try to work up some engineering for the bases as well before he left on vacation, and he did not have a chance to do that. So that's all right. I can put off the permitting for at least a month, right? Because whatever, it's gonna be in progress until it's not in progress anymore. And then the first one will make the rest of them easier to visualize.
in my previous employment, I was involved with a lot of industrial level hygiene. And in part of it, I came up with a very inexpensive, in fact, for us, it was free, a soak tank that would allow us to soak 500 or 1,000 bottles for several days. Then you just drain the water out of the bottom, rinse them off, and they're done. We had heavy
Happen to
duty
have one
stuff.
of those soak tanks in your garage?
I could build one out of a 55-gallon drum and about $3 or $4 worth of black iron pipe and valve.
Well, we've got, the bin I've got here to soak them in actually works all right.
Okay.
But
Well, I could build one real
it's the
quick, but I don't
individual,
have,
it's the individual rinse buckets.
yeah.
That, each person will need, but that's okay. So whoever shows up, shows up. If you can make that, just email me and if you don't know my address already, I'll send it to you. And yeah, it'll be a party. Pizza, beer, and dirty nip bottles.
Can't beat that.
Good times. My poor husband gets roped in on these projects. He is not a person filled with the spirit of civic volunteerism.
Chris will be all right.
Oh, he will be.
Beer is his. All right,
That's what I got, guys.
so we're all set with our progress reports, and next up is comments by commission members.
All right, I got a couple if I can. Joanne, is it Corinne down at
What?
Anya? What's the last
it
name
who?
that what's the last name that you said again? I wanted to say Johnson, but
Of the owner?
yeah, well, the manager down there.
Well,
Ellie.
I think I thought you mentioned the name Jones, and that sounded familiar to me. I thought that's who the woman was who took over, who started the whole project.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't
will-
remember the first name. I
I said
forgot.
Jones, Evan Jones is listed on the website
Yeah.
as general
Yes, but
manager.
mother, and I can't remember her name. She used to.
It's
live in
totally
town.
fine. I will go down there and I will get the
Yeah,
information.
just ask who's the general
Yeah.
manager.
Yeah, no, I will totally do that.
It's not Ken Loisel, I can tell you that.
Okay, no problem. I will do that. All right, so I wanted to give an update on a few building committee items, actually. I think this group will get excited about it. So after many years of me working on the solar project in town, at our last building committee meeting, the building committee has approved the continuation of the conversations with Connecticut Green Banks to put a 900 kW system behind or the north side of the track. That's for those that know, solar panels is probably 3,000 plus solar panels that I am projecting will save the town between $30,000 and $40,000 per year under a PPA agreement. So we will have Emily, who is the representative from Connecticut Green Banks, at our next building committee to further those discussions. In the group at the building committee was unanimous in that decision. So I'm delighted with that information.
Where did you say they're going back?
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable in the best possible way.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Brian, what'd you say?
Where did you say they're going? I was writing the other stuff.
So if you're standing on the track and the school is to your left, there's that ravine that goes down. That's the north side. It's going to go right there. It's southern facing. That's the best spot for it. I walked with Connecticut Green Banks to several other facilities such as the library, the transfer station, Tira was there too that day. What was the sewage treatment plant roof, and it still just came back to the school. All right. So this is huge news. I literally been working on this project for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
And I am just delighted with that result. I think it's finally come to the realization that this is a good thing. So it's very, very good. So the second part of good news is there's a lot of discussion about the track being replaced. I have come up with various studies myself to help the process along. We have the selectmen have approved funding to continue that investigation and to further develop the design and construction documents to prepare that to be a shovel-ready project when the funds become available, which I know that there's been some discussions about providing those funds in the very near future. And I've been speaking with Deb Spinelli about that project. And I am at a high level of confidence that it's going to be completed. I'm just going to say over the next couple of years.
Hey, Amy, can I toss something in there? And this is similar to a point I made to Charlie. Remember that the 72K that was voted on,
Yes.
again, was part of the ARPA. And once again, these are funds I'm leveraging. So next time this comes up at the building committee, please remind people, none of that can be spent until I know the results of the grant application that we are leveraging those funds into. I feel like I have to keep saying this because everybody's anxious to spend those funds. Me too.
Yeah.
They can't be spent until such time as I know whether we do or do not have
Yeah. So you'll have to clarify something for me, because I think the building committee approved, I think it was under 20,000. I can't remember exact number right now, to continue the study that I was looking for, which is a video documentation of the underground water storage system and drainage system.
Yeah, there was in the estimates that you sent, the total was like 89.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the amount that was approved from ARPA was 72, and that 72 was based on some of those pieces being peeled out because funds had already been set aside.
Yeah.
So those funds can be expended.
Yep.
Those are
Okay.
fair game, but
Yep.
the 72 has
Yep.
to be withheld until such time as we know
Yeah,
that.
and that specific 72 is for the design and construction documents, which is something that's going to take place, let's just say 6 months from now. All right,
Yeah,
so
easy
I
to-
feel like the timing is good, but we're moving forward with that first part, which is a huge stepping stone to something very, very positive for that school. Multiple good news, pieces of good news for the school. Okay, so that's news on the building committee. I just wanted to again highlight, I think for this group, for the next meeting, at least think about the businesses that you would want to see at our meeting, and like maybe Dan from Milltown Grill, I'm thinking about, maybe, the manager from Anya. What other positive and influencing people that you think would come to a brainstorming session to talk about further developing our town in a positive manner? Just think about that for next time. And we can talk about those businesses and then draft very specific emails to those people, and then have them come in probably the month after that. Right. So I'll just put that out there. One other thing that I've been thinking about in town is, just going back to 65 Main project that we have been working on as well. I would like to know more about our abandoned buildings in town. Similar to the Belding Mill area. I've said this in the past. I think we should be inviting those owners to our EDC meetings and just having, again, a brainstorming session about what the hell can we do with these pieces of property that are just a complete eyesore going down our main streets in Grosvenordale, right? I think about the Village Hardware scene. That building is abandoned and it's just collecting mold and it's just not a
They're all
good
three
scene.
owned by the same guy.
Yeah,
All
so,
three.
you know, I feel like we should be reaching out to that person. I'm not saying reaching out to him next month, but this is just food for thought. And I think our idea with, you know, inviting local businesses that are established right now should be our priority. And then also just have those abandoned properties or land pieces. Let's just keep that in mind. And then finally, Brian, when is the next TBA meeting? Because I think I want to attend that.
It's the second Wednesday of the month.
At what time and where is it? It is always at the,
It's still at our father's table until it
Is that-
gets sold.
okay.
So
Second Wednesday.
We're
huh?
looking at the October 13th. And we start gathering at 5 and the meeting starts at 5:30.
Okay. All right, very good. I'm going to try to attend that one. Because I just want to say, you know, with Brian Nucino at the Economic Development, I feel like we should be commingling some of these things with them, right? And getting
Yeah,
together.
we are.
You know.
Matter of fact, Dan may be the new president soon.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect. All right, so that's good.
And the EDC, I actually have a spot during the agenda to update on EDC stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I have something I want to add on to what Brian just said. I think that it is a resource that's available to us and we've been overlooking it and we should not, at least not for this initiative. And that is the town's bank is Webster Bank and they have a commercial real estate division and they have a commercial banking division. And when the Rymacon Relay was going on, one of the teams that was there was Webster Bank. I spoke to a few people, but unfortunately being retired, I'm not in the habit of carrying business cards or pens to write things down. And I didn't think until after he ran away that I should have just put his phone number in my phone. But he is interested. He said, yeah, get in touch with them. So we should officially, the EDC should reach out and say, hey, we've got some problems that we want to address. Can you help us? Because they're our bank. We pay them a monthly fee.
Sure.
I get more service out of my own bank. What the heck? I don't know. And I don't have anywhere near the number of dollars going through my accounts that the town of Thompson does.
No, probably not.
Yep. All right, that's all from me, Brian.
Okay, thank you, Bert. Anybody else, comments? All right, having no comments, I'd like to say the next meeting is October 20th. And we'll still play it by ear, whether we're in person or Zoom. And if we're all set, I'd like to adjourn at 7:50.
All right, have a nice night, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
All right.